Alright, today we're having a look at Nova's Origin, Abandoned Fortress of the Interlopers by SoothingRuby. Alright, so here we are in Nova's Origin, and the abandoned factory. Oh crumbs, it was a very long loading screen. We were warned that there would be a long loading screen, but I've forgotten what the full name of the level is. I'm so sorry, SoothingRuby. This is a kind of a Souls-like fighter, from what I understand. There are a lot of moves. Oh crumbs, that's probably not what I wanted to do. Now I'm stuck. Okay, I can't sidestep. Oh, and... Okay, we did that. Okay, I'm gonna run away from this dude. Maybe, can we sidestep anywhere? No. Only places where there's... Okay, well, yes I can. There's a lot going on, and my controller is not super great, and... Oh! I did a magic attack. Okay, can I kill this dude? Take that! Away with thee! I love it. Very quiet. The game is very quiet. I don't know if that's because there's no music, or because I don't have my headphones turned up enough. Either of those is possible. Looks like double tap on the O is a roll, and I like that. And holding the O is a dash. Oh fudge. I don't know how I did that. I don't know why I did that. And that's okay. But I also don't know what's the jump. I feel so silly. SoothingRuby, I do apologize. I did read how the controls worked, and then I kind of immediately forgot because I don't retain things very well, which is a little bit of a problem. I am doing things, and I don't know how I'm doing these things, but they are wonderful, and I like them. This is a Little Big Planet 2 level. It's got a little bit of the old school adding special moves to sack characters, sack things. I died, and I deserve to die. Honestly, that is 100% fair. Wait, I died? Like, died completely? No way. I mean, obviously way, because I'm dead, but... And did this ring? I could have sworn I started the timer, and then I don't know what happened. I'm going to pause this here. I'm going to apologize to SoothingRuby. I'm going to learn these moves, and then we're going to talk about it in the hub, and hopefully I'll have better B-roll footage to show you just how good the level is, but we'll talk about it back in the hub. See yas! And we're back, and Nova's Origin, a Abandoned Fortress of the Interlopers by SoothingRuby, and I had a really good time with it. It took a little while to grow on me, but I do feel like it's a strong yellow square. I felt a little bit better about it each time that I played. Saw in the first impressions section, the first play that we just watched, I struggled with it a little bit, partially because I don't tend to retain information. SoothingRuby does give us the control scheme in the start menu. You can check that, and also lets us know the control scheme in the game through messages that you can read. I read some of those messages. I looked at and studied the control scheme in the start menu, and then once we got playing, completely ran out of my skull. So the struggles there were on my end largely, although I do think that the level and the control scheme does have some issues. But one thing I want to highlight on the positive side is just how much work and just how much love went into the sackbots and getting them to work pretty smoothly. Not necessarily perhaps as smoothly as the gameplay would demand, but really to get all those different moves and to get the cooldowns right and the animations right, and the sackbots, the characters that you play, they're all nicely differentiated. They all look really, really cool. Like, that was a lot of work using LBP2 tech. It's a lot easier nowadays to give like special moves, special animations to characters using broadcast chips, but doing it in the past through sackbots and player-controlled sackbots, and it was a struggle. Like, it was honestly a hard time doing it. So seeing it accomplished here, and seeing it accomplished pretty well done, I think that super huge props need to be given out to that. I tried a number of the different characters whilst I was playing. I stuck a lot to the dual swords wielding kind of piratey, ninja-y, green lass. I thought that character was a lot of fun. I liked the movement, the heavy attack kind of additional movement where she springs over the enemy and kind of spins around to give you a little bit more room in a fight. I thought that was really cool, but I also tried the first, like, red swordswoman who catches on fire periodically, which I thought was kind of neat. I tried the purple axe-wielding character who, honestly, I struggled with more because I felt that her attacks were a lot slower, especially coming after playing the dual wielder. And I tried, the last character I tried was this kind of like longsword user who was pretty neat, but I enjoyed all the characters that I played. I thought that they were all really quite cool. I enjoyed the environment, and again, the environment was something that grew on me the more times that I played. The first time playing through in the first sections that we saw, and I felt that they were perhaps a little bit over big for the character size. So, the character kind of felt small and lost in the environment a little bit, but when you get into some of the different areas, some of the smaller rooms, and I think they're scaled a lot better to the character. One thing that I did find as an environmental point, though, that kind of speaking out against was the way that the message system was incorporated visually into the level, where you've got those blocks of hologram material that, when you walk through the block of hologram material, you can hit the X button, you can read the message that's on it. Using that way of giving information to the player in the level, I don't think is necessarily bad, but the look of it really doesn't mesh particularly well with the level. I'm not sure when sticker material was introduced in LBP, if that was in LBP 2 via a DLC, or if that came in LBP 3, but the hologram really stands out quite poorly. Now, part of that was just the fact that it's kind of raised off the ground as a block, and so I gave it a little bit of an example here. What we don't see is that there is a hologram bit that's set to 0 brightness, which makes it invisible. That is the actual point that the sack character is interacting with, whereas the one on the ground is just there as kind of a placeholder, as a visual effect. But see, here it brings up the L3 for inspiration. You hit the L3, and it gives us the message that we can do it. Now, I have the same technique here with a sticker material, and you see that it blends into the environment a little bit better, and I think that's something that we do want to think about with our levels that are more environmentally based, is how can we make them diegetically sound? How can we put things in the environment that look like they mesh with the environment, that they're intended to be there? So, like, sticker panels like this, I think, do kind of work out pretty well for that result. Otherwise, one of the other issues that I did have with the levels, I felt that there wasn't a lot of direction as to where you're going. Now, sometimes hints did pop up, like try the elevator again if I went too far in one direction, but that's not really the direction that I mean. What I mean is, in a story sense, like, what are we doing here? We're exploring, yes, we're fighting enemies, yes, but like, why are we doing it? Some of that is told to us in the level select screen. That is to say, like, on the planet actually going into the level, it gives us a little bit of the backstory, but there's not really very much in the level itself. And in one of my plays through, I played like maybe, I want to say like 6 or 7 times perhaps. I played through a number of times though, and once I just kind of accidentally ran into a boss section. I had no idea that the boss was going to be there. It just said, like, there's a fog door, hit X to interact with it, and I was like, okay, I'll do that, and boom, here's a boss, and the boss kicked my butt. Honestly, that was my fault. I did find that the I know that the fighting is a little bit more of a slower pace because it is kind of a Souls-style game, and you're thinking about stamina, and you're thinking about parrying and things like that, but I also found that inputs didn't always trigger when I assumed that they were going to be going off. Like when I would hit a button, even if I had stamina, and it didn't always kind of trigger the attack for that. I know that the heavy attacks did have a bit of a build-up to them, but even for the light attacks that was happening, and sometimes when I was trying to move backwards and forwards in layers, that I would be hitting like down in circle, but maybe I wasn't hitting them in the right sequence or at precisely the right time, but I wasn't actually moving back and forth, so I did kind of struggle a little bit with movement in combat, and that boss, who I really wasn't expecting to be there, kicked my butt. Now, something that I want to point out, something that I finally noticed on my third or fourth playthrough, I think, but some of the things you can actually pick up stickers in the level. It's why SoothingRuby mentions for best experience that you want to play with your community prizes turned on, that you can pick up stickers in the level and you can use them on the character select screen to actually get effects within the level to kind of either trigger things that you've already triggered before, or to get like items that will help you out in the level. I thought that was really, really cool. Like, that was really super neat. I don't think I've seen very many levels try to do something like that, where even though you're leaving the level, there's something that will kind of bookmark progress to an extent. I know that we've got like the memorizer microchip, but to be honest, I never really got the hang of how to use that bit of logic, and some of the adventure logic that was added in LBP 3 serves the same purpose, but this was one of the few times I've seen it implemented in quite this way in an LBP 2 level, and I thought that was really cool. I liked this level overall. It's not super a style that I tend to play a lot in LBP, which on one hand is kind of cool, but on the other hand I do think that the engine LBP doesn't necessarily 100% support this. But even still, I do strongly recommend it. I do strongly urge you to go out and give it a look, if only just to appreciate how much work went into this level, how much love went into this level, and how well the things that work do work, because I do think that when it's firing on the right cylinders, it really does a good job. SoothingRuby, thank you so much for getting in touch with me, for reaching out to me and to suggest this level. To everybody, I always appreciate level suggestions from the community. If you've got something that you'd like me to take a look at, I am more than happy to do it, but SoothingRuby, this was super cool. Thank you so very much. And also, side note for everybody, but SoothingRuby has their pronouns in their creator bio section, and that helps me a lot. If you get in touch with me, or if you want me to look at a level, put your pronouns, let me know what they are so that I can use them correctly, because I really appreciate that, and it helps out trans folks and non-binary folks and non-binary trans folks to make that kind of activity a little bit more normalized so that we don't always look so weird for doing it. But that's a side point. Everybody, I've got to cut this. This is like my 5th take, and I have to get this episode out by tomorrow, so I've got to cut it here. I had a great time. Play this level. SoothingRuby, thank you so much. And from me, Risco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you. Arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.